Hi, Otafest. Welcome back to our podcast. Today I'm here with DEO.
Hello! Good to see you all again. It's been a while.
Yeah, Nancy and Angelo have left me. Not permanently, but they couldn't make it for today.
Yes.
But I have the wonderful DEO.
Today I'm their replacement.
Yeah. I'm sure you've recognized her before. We've had DEO on a few times, to say the least. What do you do now for Otafest? You've actually switched roles.
I have
believe.
switched roles. So I've been kind of all over the place within Otafest, which is kind of nice. And then I get to try a lot of different things and figure out, what best reaches my interest. So in previous years, I had been working with the gaming and the gaming programming team at Otafest. We did a lot of tournaments.
Streaming, right?
I've been doing streaming with Otafest. I've been doing a lot of different things.
Overwatch used to be a thing.
Overwatch used to be a massive thing. We used to do tournaments, and it was a
Right.
super cool thing. We collabed with the Microsoft store. I used to talk about that a lot.
Yep.
Still love them. Still love Microsoft. Great people. Conflicting feelings about Overwatch, but not related to Otafest.
Right.
But now with the Otafest team, I am still on the special events team, but now I'll be working more in guest wrangling and guest programming, which is
We're
really
on the same team.
exciting. We are on the same team, which is really cool.
I wrangle different guests. You reach out to others.
Yes,
I'm
handling cosplay guests, which is very
Yeah.
exciting because I've been a cosplayer for just so long, so many years.
Would you say it's been half your life at least?
I mean,
If you actually
we're
look at
getting close, yeah, because it's been 10 years.
Okay.
I started
Okay.
cosplaying around the time I was 14, and I'm 26 now, so
Okay.
we're getting close to that halfway mark, which is kind of cool.
It's kind of coming full circle. Because I'm sure you're when we look at guests in general, we tend to look at not just hey, who's the big name super fancy guest, but we're also looking at locals, people who are working hard, but we still want to showcase exactly what they bring to the table,
we want to showcase local talent, and we want to bring people who meet sort of the interests of what the attendees like. We want to bring guests that are people they want to meet, whether that's content creators, cosplayers, voice actors, traditional actors,
everything,
all
really,
kinds of things. We want to bring guests who bring a lot to our community, because our community is very not just literally multicultural, but
diverse,
very diverse in terms of interests. So it's kind of cool to bring guests who touch multiple different spaces, including cosplay.
But we can't make any announcements yet because
not yet. We're still working on some things.
It's not scheduled to do so.
It's not scheduled yet, but
we'll get there.
There will be updates in the future.
Yeah,
so
and then you can tell us how much you hate our selection.
Yeah, when you don't like the guest selections, you can just flame me in my inbox specifically. Right. It's my fault.
Yeah, but speaking of announcements, before we get too far, I just want to talk about our upcoming event, which is Otafest's partnership with Goro and Gun.
Yummy!
It's a Koyo celebration. That's the autumn-themed Oden dinner and drinks. Yes, we're still considering it autumn, even though it's at the end of November, because that's the way it's going to work. We don't get to choose. We do.
Winter's not real if you don't acknowledge it.
Exactly. And that's happening on November 30th. The tickets are $40 for 3 courses, and it includes tax and tip already, so you don't really have... It's $40
You don't have
flat.
to pay extra, yeah.
The only thing you have to pay extra for is alcoholic drinks, I believe.
If you choose to indulge, and if so, drink responsibly, please.
Right. There's a lot of options there. I'm sure they have some plum sake or something like that.
Yummy.
That's really tasty.
Yes.
If you're looking to purchase a ticket, then you can go to otafest.com/Odin. There's more information there. We've partnered with Goro and Gun probably at least 3 or 4 times at this point. All of the events are always super fun. You can come and cosplay, come with your friends.
Yes, come hang out.
Yeah.
Eat some good food, take some nice pictures. Goro and Gun's location is actually kind of really cool looking.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll probably be playing some sort of show or anime on the screens that they have there. So it's honestly just like a big party with friends, and it's super chill. Otherwise, we also have Otafest passes that you could also pick up.
Yes, we're getting ready for 2020.
Exactly. If you want to see our guests, you're going to have to buy a ticket. $50 early bird price before January 1st, I want to say. I think it technically ends December 31st. $50, otherwise it's $60 at the door, so you might as well pick them up online right now. It would make a pretty good Christmas gift, I think.
Would be a good Christmas gift, especially for the very pop culture, Japanese anime cosplayer in your life. It's a great gift.
I mean, one of the gifts that I get as an annual thing is one of our friends, like, so we always go to like Global Fest. A lot of us go
Yeah.
to Global Fest. So Global Fest also has early birds. So literally, one of my friends, what she does all the time is that she'll just get us Global Fest passes because she knows
that you want to
go.
You wanted to
Right.
go already. You've
Yeah,
already
and it's
expressed that interest.
it's already cheaper, and like you kind of get the whole weekend or the whole week's
Yeah,
worth of events.
exactly.
So you might as well just kind of like, hey, if you and your friend are going, or you and your significant other or whatever,
It's a great
then
gift idea.
You might as well. I don't see why not.
Put the little printout of your Eventbrite receipt in the stocking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see you at both of our events coming up here. Other than that, not too much else happening. We're still kind of, like I said, I think a lot of us, we're planning, like definitely we've been kind of going full bore already and figuring out what it is that's going to make 2020 special.
Exactly.
But it's nothing that we can announce yet because there's contracts to be signed and emails to be sent
and things to be arranged and all kinds of things.
Yeah, but it's both of our first years in the role that we're in.
It is very new.
So it's like,
but it's a fun learning experience.
Yeah, and it's different than anything I've ever done with Otafest.
Yeah, me too.
So
me too.
It's been a good transition, I think.
Yeah, for me as well. Meeting some new people, hanging out with lots of familiar faces too. So it's nice.
What else have you been up to?
I have been busy doing a lot of things. So, you know, I've been a streamer for the past, like a very casual streamer, but a streamer nonetheless for the past couple of years.
I wouldn't really call you that casual.
Yeah, I mean, I do it pretty regularly.
You have a schedule.
I have a schedule. It's
I think that
changed.
makes you...
For the wintertime, it's changed. So it used to be during the week, and now I've switched more into the weekends as now I work full-time as well. So I'm balancing kind of like my day job and my night job. So it's kind of fun. But I've been doing that. It's been keeping me very busy. I started learning a new video game.
Right.
For the past couple of years, I've just been playing Overwatch and mostly only Overwatch on stream. That's kind of what I was known for. But I've recently dipped my legs into League of Legends, which is
it's just a little indie game. I know it's like
no one's ever heard of it. Like it's
you
okay.
You wanted to get into it first before it got too popular, right?
Exactly. I want to like be ahead of the curve. Yeah, I know. Like tons of people I know
either play or used to play,
either play or used to play, or currently play, or all kinds of things. I had known about League for a long time, but it just didn't interest me.
What made you choose League out of all the other competitive style games that are out there?
It wasn't until like after I really got into competitive Overwatch that I realized that like when I play video games, I really do like that competitive aspect. And I'd never done MOBAs before. I was very averse to playing a MOBA.
Well, you used to like just kind of more in high school, I think. But
I was
like
more
you used
into
to be
shooters.
but you're like in high school and like or when you were younger in general, you used to be into sports a lot. So
I was. That's
transitions.
true. Yeah.
It's obviously like not exactly the same thing, like sport versus esport, whatever. But
there's
that underlying
similarities.
Personality thing, right?
I actually agree with you on that. You're working with a team. You have to do team problem solving, and like that's the kind of way that like
there's strategy, there's reviews, there's lots of different things.
Yeah.
And again, that's where the competitive comes in because I used to play some competitive games as well, and I don't really do any anymore because I know I don't have the time to keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also just like I've also been deep into like single player, so
so that's what you more.
I value that now.
That's what you vibe.
Yeah,
that's what passes the vibe check for you.
When I did, and I also used to play a lot of sports and things like that, so I can totally understand like that transition. Where even to esports or whatever, it's that whole. I get to work with a team. We're achieving a common goal, and you get to
we get to work together and learn together.
If you win, right?
And for League specifically, I think the learning curve of the game as a new player is steeper than any other game I've ever played. Like I don't have a comparison. It's steeper than even any sport.
And that's kind of interesting to me because I think that you probably have maybe more of a community going into it.
Yeah, I
like
definitely
you
do.
Knew more people or know more people that already played, and if you were like new without the kind of community that you've built online,
I think it would be harder because I did in the past. Long before I streamed, I tried to get into League, and I couldn't get into it. There was just so much to learn. I think especially for MOBAs as a genre, all MOBAs are somewhat similar. Like. The differences between League of Legends and, say, Dota 2 and Heroes of New Earth are distinct,
Yeah.
But the base core gameplay is very, very, very similar. Much
Sure.
in the same way that you could compare Overwatch and, say, TF2. The
Right.
core gameplay is more or less the same. It's just the tiny details that are different. But if you've never played a MOBA before, there's just so much basic information that you have to absorb and master on top of like the basic mechanics of how you move and interact with the game.
Mhm.
I think as a solo player, it was very prohibitive,
Not
and
to
I just
mention,
didn't
like,
have fun.
All that, like it's a credit to have like a large character roster and different play styles.
Yeah.
But it's also becomes more intimidating because you kind of like you don't know what to choose or you don't know what to play.
You don't
or
know what to
someone's
play,
like
or
someone's
you-
like, oh, this one's better, or why are you playing that character? It's
You're like, I don't know.
yeah, I think that if you were just solo queuing all the time, I think
would
you'd
just
probably get
be
people-
frustrating.
yeah, people would stomp on you for like making newbie choices, and you're like, well,
Well,
I am a newbie.
I don't know. Where was I supposed to
Right?
learn?
And you could be like, oh, you can Google all that, and I get that. But for some people, that's not where the fun
That's
of that
not where the
lies.
fun
is
is,
to
and
do the
that-
research. You
Yeah.
just want to play.
You just want to play. And
Right.
like, I think the fun thing about learning League for me was that I would sit down and play normals
Right.
with 4 friends because it's
Mhm.
a five people on a team. So I'd sit
For
down
sure.
with 4 friends, and it's like, okay, I'm a noob, I'm an idiot, I'm gonna make dumb mistakes all the time. It happens. I feed all the time, or at least especially in the first month of playing, I
Right.
feed a lot.
Right.
But I laugh when I feed because like now I've done something. I've seen the result and say, okay, well now I know not to do that thing
That's
anymore.
fine. Yeah.
But my friends are laughing with me.
Right.
They're not laughing at me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just kind of like, haha, you did something dumb, but let's help you succeed
Happens.
later.
Yeah.
And that makes it fun to learn because, you know, it's a good, healthy learning environment
For
where
sure.
like, you can look back. Like if I look back on how I play League of Legends now versus how I played League of Legends a month ago,
Yeah.
it's like the gap in knowledge is massive.
Yeah.
And that'll probably continue as I learn the game more and more, but it's way more fun to learn with people who are kind of willing to hold your hand and babysit
Mhm,
you a little
mhm.
bit.
I don't want to get into it too deeply because I know you feel very 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 intensely about it.
Yeah.
But why did you move away from Overwatch?
Overwatch?
Probably from the competitive perspective.
So, for me,
So like dumb it down.
The
probably.
biggest struggle, like
Yeah.
if we simplify it, the biggest struggle I have is with the way that Overwatch is balanced, and the
Is it
schedule.
too
in which
balanced
it's-
or unbalanced?
It's unbalanced, and
okay.
that's normal. Video
Yeah.
games, like any competitive game or any
No,
competitive
there's always like tiers, for
scene,
example.
is gonna take
Yeah.
a little bit of time to get balanced. So, like
Mhm.
a lot of people, you could make the argument that League of Legends is a lot more of a balanced game now.
Okay.
But Riot has had 10 years
yeah.
to sit down and learn and work through those
Not
mistakes,
to mention like 10 years
right?
with basically the same IP. They haven't made like a League of Legends 2.
They haven't made
You
a
know
League of
what I mean?
Legends 2. They haven't made other
Yeah.
games,
They
right? Blizzard is
focused on what
also
they've made.
Blizzard also maintaining World of Warcraft, and they're working on
Right.
Diablo 4. So it's
Right.
not like all of their resources are in Overwatch.
Right. There's definitely a lot more balance to apply when their focus is just a singular.
It's just a single
product.
IP
Yeah.
and working on that product.
for sure.
And the timeline for Blizzard scheduling is kind of slow. It's
Okay.
if you're in a meta, especially in Overwatch, you're in that meta for 6 months or more, and that
Mhm.
can be kind of frustrating
Draining
and draining, and
yeah.
you know, it's stressful to sit down and be doing the same repetitive tasks over and over
for
again.
sure.
So it stops being kind of fresh and fun. So I don't dislike Overwatch. I
Yeah.
still play it occasionally, but it's just it hasn't hit that point as a game in terms of competitive maturity
Mhm.
where you're watching the best of the best problem solve,
Okay.
right?
I feel like so for myself, I feel like if you kind of look at what Overwatch has become and sort of what I expected of it right now, and with Overwatch 2's announcement and kind of the story mode kind of content that they're coming with, I feel like Overwatch 2 to me is sort of what Overwatch should have been this whole time.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with
like
that.
the whole like FPS competitive team what do you call it composition
Hero-based
team
shooter.
comp,
Hero-based
sort of.
shooter, yeah.
yeah that kind of thing. It's fun, but I also like I recently rewatched what some of the character trailers that they used like that they made.
Yeah, and you
And I
want
really
that
got that-
story-based
yeah.
content, right?
I rewatched like Bastions and I was just like, oh, there's like something more here. Basically.
Yeah.
Like I remember when those first came out and people were like, cinematically it's also really nice, like they're really well done.
Yeah,
they're
they
beautiful.
are very well
and
done.
then I also just feel that people were feeling that like you weren't just gonna get this shooter, but that's what it just became, and then it was just a competitive kind of like the cycle
mismatch of
right?
things.
Right.
Whereas I think that's a valid complaint, because I think right now, in the current state of Overwatch, there's one side that really wants a more casual experience, and
Sure.
not casual in like a bad way, but in a I don't want it. There are plenty of players who don't want to sit down and grind competitive louder for hours and hours. That's not how they have fun.
Right.
They want to play a couple games of quick play, a couple hours a night with their friends,
Yeah.
and they want to enjoy things like story mode or getting new
Yeah.
bits of lore or enjoying skins or other
Yeah.
pieces of content. And then there are people who want to sit down and grind ladder. And right
Mhm,
now, Overwatch is trying to strike this perfect balance in the middle
And it's
and
gonna be
is
tough.
failing to do either.
It's tough. Like I don't think it's an enviable position for them to
It's
be in.
definitely not.
But again, I think that I sort of got like a nostalgia feel for like I think there's something there that Overwatch could be. The question is whether the original Overwatch was ever going to be that product, or if Overwatch 2 is supposed to be what it could have been the whole time.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
But we'll have to see.
We'll
I
have
just
to
don't
see
think
into
that.
the future. Like I'm not
Yeah.
like washing my hands of the game or anything. It's just
But you're just hoping for a better.
I'm hoping
future.
for a better future. I'll see what the future holds.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, we're all getting old. We're all getting older. We never
less
get younger.
time
There's
every-
less time, and
Yeah.
it's just I don't want to commit hours and hours of my time to something I don't enjoy.
Absolutely.
So right now, competitive Overwatch isn't the thing I enjoy the most,
Right.
but maybe it will be again in the future.
Uh, I feel that way a lot because, like I said, I used to play a lot of multiplayer stuff. We used to play a lot together.
Yeah, we did.
I feel bad sort of when I point that out because it's like, well, why aren't you playing with your friends anymore? It's like I
Because-
want to, but they're
that's
not.
just not what
It's
I'm
the game.
interested
It's
in.
no, it's the game. It's not that I
Yeah.
don't want to see my friends.
Friends.
Like anyone who knows me in real life, I'm
You're a very
fairly
social
sociable,
person.
right?
Yeah.
So I like seeing my friends. I like going out, or like I'll play games with friends, but the game itself still has to be good. Like I don't just because you're with your friends
because-
doesn't mean you should go shovel horse shit. Like
Yeah, exactly, like-
Facebook event. Let's go shovel horse shit together as a
Like,
group. It's like no,
Your friends
or
make
I
the
could
event
go-
better, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you want to do that event.
Exactly. So if I
Yeah.
don't find the game to be interesting anymore, then it's very hard for
You'll
me
just
to
move on elsewhere to something else that you do want to do.
And the truth is, like, single player games are very well developed. They're becoming better, like even better and better.
They are.
Over time. There's great examples in recent history. Just like Witcher 3 took up lots of hours for me. I still haven't finished it yet. I really should, but like it has a beautiful world. There's just so much detail that they focus on.
That you just want to go as a player and
Yeah.
see it all, and that makes you happy.
Yeah, the multiplayer games to me have come down to basically playing Jackbox games.
I mean, that's fair. I
Yeah.
really like playing Jackbox.
They're
Jackbox
they're
is
smart.
extremely fun.
Like their game designs are fairly
They're very
diverse
simple.
and-
It's diverse, and yet it's simple enough that you can take
Yeah.
anyone. You can take people who have never played Jackbox in their life,
yeah.
sit them down, and they can figure out what's going on.
But I
and have
will
fun.
say though the early ones weren't as good as these later ones.
Yeah, the later you can definitely see the
Yeah.
companies
Like
improving.
as you go into 3, 4, 5, I
You
think it's
can
on
really
6 now.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
There's
my
real
gosh, 6
development.
is really fun.
I haven't had a chance to play yet. I
Yeah.
really like to. Do a stream and I'll join.
Yes, you'll have to. I think we did. We did stream it a couple weeks
Did you do
ago.
one- yeah, I think you did one for your birthday, but
And
I was busy.
It was really fun, so
Yeah.
I'll have to do that again sometime. It is. They brought back one of my favorite games
Yeah.
from previous Jackboxes and made improvements to it, so it's even more fun.
Have you done any single player games recently?
I haven't played.
What was the
what
last
have I
single
done?
player game
What's
that
the
you
last
completed?
single player game that I completed? It probably would have been. Oh goodness! So I started the Goose Game,
Okay.
and that was really fun.
Wait, what'd you get it for? What did it come out for that you have it on?
I just got it on it's just a PC download.
Oh,
You just
okay.
visit their website. And get
Oh,
it.
okay.
I don't think it's available through Steam.
No, it's on Epic, I think.
Yes, it's on the Epic Game Store. That's
Yeah,
where
it's
it
on
is.
Epic.
The Epic Game
It's
Store.
coming out on Steam. I think.
Um,
I just don't have Epic, and I'm like, I just don't need any more.
You
launchers,
just don't
man.
want to go and then.
It's
I
like
already-
streaming services.
Yes.
There's too many.
There's too many. I just
Too
don't
many
need
launchers.
them all.
Too many
Too
streaming
launchers.
places.
Yeah. So for me, I already had
It's really annoying.
at the time I was playing. I tried Fortnite when it came out. Wasn't the game for me. It was fun. It just wasn't the game for me.
I kind of want to get back into PUBG because they have a zombie mode thing.
Oh,
and I
that
thought-
sounds cool.
It's like basically you set like it's in like alpha, so it's like I've heard it's very crashy.
Yeah.
But you basically, let's say there's like you set 20 humans versus like 60 undead or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And the undead can run around. They can, I think, depending on the settings, you can either kill them outright or they will respawn actually.
Oh.
And then if you're undead, you run around and you just punch them. Like
That's
you punch
cool.
the living. And then it's weird because the undead can also drive, so you can like
that's
eliminate.
scary.
But if you kill like a human, obviously they can become a zombie, and it's a time-based thing. So let's say there's like you have 15 minutes. So if the humans can make it all the way through the 15 minutes, then the humans win. But if the zombies take them all out,
then the
of course
zombies win. That's really cool.
And it's very simple.
But it's
I think it's
fun.
fun because it's also large scale, right? Like, because
Yeah.
PUBG has like 100 players or whatever on the server. So I think there's just some weird element of that being
like
interesting
a reality, yeah,
right?
like a thing. It's like playing like large scale amoeba tag online.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of putting it. I think that I might try that, but that's the only multiplayer thing that has caught my eye
In a while.
in a little
Well, that
bit,
sounds
just as
like
a fun mode.
Apex Legends also had a similar-ish mode, I think,
Did
for
it?
their Halloween mode.
Oh, I didn't know.
Which
I have not
looked
touched
kind of cool.
I haven't touched a single second of any kind of battle royale other than PUBG. Not any other reason than I was already talking about multiplayer games
Yeah.
and sort of how I feel. about them.
PUBG was just the one multiplayer that kind of hit okay.
Well, it's a little bit more brutal than some of the other games, like thematically.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
just in terms of
I've
design.
said this on podcasts before, but I am a fan of the battle royale like book, the original, and
exactly.
how brutal that can be. Obviously, there's like elements that you wouldn't incorporate into the game from that book, but there are still some. Just like the concept is a little bit more fun. The only thing that I've said this before again, if PUBG implemented traps. So you could like trap a doorway or something like that to incapacitate somebody or like just kind of slow them down. That would make it a really, really good game for me. Now I think you can do that in Fortnite already, but I just don't want don't want to get into another game. Like I just don't want
exactly. That's fair.
And it could be like, well, Fortnite's free. Like I get it, but I've already bought PUBG.
So you're like, I already have a game. I don't want to get another
one. I don't
one.
hate PUBG. I just want to put that out there to either. So,
but you're just like, I just don't want to invest in another game.
I just want this one other like detail. If it had that, I would probably play PUBG a lot more.
Yeah,
in general.
That's totally fair because I do feel how you feel, and that like I think I've tried most of the battle royale style games, just because like battle royale, like I liked the book and I loved the movie.
Yeah,
like it's a neat concept, and like as a concept for a type of game, it's something that's really interesting because the idea of that could not have existed 10 to 20 years ago. Like
for sure.
That it would like someone could have thought it up, but it wouldn't be technically possible.
No, they like especially the large scale.
That's the big
thing, right? Like it's one thing if you were like I don't know 4 versus 4 or something like that.
But the idea of like versus 50 versus 100 people who are real people that you can really interact with is
it brings a new dynamic to the game overall.
It really does,
because it's not just I'm on this team, so you're gonna be on my. It's like you could be playing. I like the solo queue, or I used to.
Because it's you versus 99.
Yeah, me versus 99. But I know that also some people would just be like want to help each other out for right now, and then figure things out later. By figure things out later, it's like he's not looking. Shoot him in the head.
Exactly.
Right. Like at some point. But like there's I just like those dynamics. It just makes it a lot more
interesting,
chaotic.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's less predictable. But I do feel how you do in that, like in trying every single one of these battle royale games, it's like I have 3 different game launchers, and this is just it's just a lot.
It's essentially this, and the problem is essentially again the same kind of game type.
Yeah, it's the same game type, but I have to do 3 different launchers, and it's the same thing with streaming services. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, so Disney Plus just came out literally like 3 days ago, I think, at this point.
Yes, and the whole internet is losing their minds over it.
Yeah, and I think that so Disney has the best chance of a real like consolidated streaming service, because eventually they're just gonna own everything. I don't care if a monopoly is illegal; it's just the way it's gonna happen.
It's the way it will be.
Like no one's gonna flag.
They just have the largest amount of media.
Let me show show me the day that the government flexes on Mickey. Like I just don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't.
True.
Like,
I don't think so either.
Like
I think you're right. I think they would just leave it.
They're like, just give us money and like, especially in the U.S., right? Because it's special interest lobbying all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, they would just be like, just be less bad, please.
Just talking about like, you have Netflix where by the way, you telling me that Carol and Tuesday is on Netflix, I really need to watch. We're going to talk we won't talk a little bit too much about anime because even though DEO watches a lot, I just don't watch enough. And I was talking about like I have Crunchyroll. I have subscribed to legitimate streaming services. I don't watch nearly enough like to really justify it. But I also, again, same thing with game launchers, just hate having all these stream services.
Well, because it's annoying. So like, even if you just look at anime or you just look at like movies and stuff,
right?
You can get Hulu, now you have Disney Plus, you get your Crunchyroll. You used to be able to get Funimation used to have their own
Amazon Prime Video. You
have Netflix, like you have all these things,
options.
And it's just like the problem is then it's not like I tune into Netflix, I'm paying for say Netflix, I can watch any show in the world, and it's just a matter of which service I want.
Right.
There's tons of stuff. There's some stuff that I might want to watch that's exclusive to Netflix. And there's other stuff that's going to be exclusive to Crunchyroll.
I think the biggest issue for me is at the end of the day, not for me, sorry, but like I think as a general umbrella, so even though our generation, I think, isn't so invested in having cable anymore, television, but cable television isn't cheap either. I think it runs like $60-$70 a package. I could be wrong. Because I haven't looked at a cable package in a very long time.
Yes, I haven't looked at a cable package since I was a child.
That's not cheap, right?
No, it's not. It's expensive.
And Netflix is like what, $12?
It's your $14.99 a month.
Sure, and then like that's a lot more palatable. Except for the fact that now, if you want to watch a Disney movie, for example, you have to add that $10.
Disney Plus, so you need $10 there.
Right, and
so
then if you
want your Crunchyroll subscription, you need your $10 a month.
Right,
so now
whatever it is, right? So
now you're getting closer and closer to the same cost.
And like if you're into sports, then you're gonna need to buy some like ESPN or TSN package, I'm sure, and it just goes on and on. It starts to add up. And the only argument against it that I can see is that, quote unquote, at least you're getting channels, products that you want, like shows that you want, as opposed to buying a cable package and you've got like
a bunch of stuff you're paying for that you don't
like 80 channels that you're not going to watch or whatever. And I totally understand that it's not great either, but I don't see how either of these systems work.
I think
for a consumer.
For a consumer, I think it's especially bad because when the internet started to really, really take off and people started transitioning away from cable, it was because the concept of piracy became a really big thing. It became very easy and cost effective because it doesn't cost you anything to start pirating movies, pirating TV shows. And
they're saying that
pirating games. And it'll start to come back up because one thing I remember when Steam first came out, when Valve first released Steam, it was revolutionary because game piracy had been at an all-time high.
Yes.
Like there was this big deal of no one wanted to go to the store and buy a physical disc. They didn't have to because it was expensive.
And it's just accessibility.
And it was very accessible to pirate something and have it be on your local machine.
Yes.
Steam said, we're going to take the efficiency and the ease of use
availability
from on your computer, right? But we're going to make it so that you're not pirating it, so you are still paying money back into the companies, the process. We get more and more games and more money into the industry, but you still have all the they made it so it
also sales.
You get sales, and it just like the Steam. It all worked together in this beautiful way that it made it more expensive and difficult to be a pirate.
Yes.
It was just easier.
Well, it was
and more
just you probably had less excuses.
You had less excuses, and when you have less excuses, it just makes it easier for people.
And also, it doesn't really hurt to buy something like
it doesn't.
I'm not gonna lie. Like when I was a kid, and especially for things like LAN parties, we would share games, or like especially when DRM wasn't a huge thing, right?
Exactly.
But at a certain point, like you just kind of become a responsible human being, hopefully, and you're like, while I would like paying less, I'll just wait for a sale as opposed to just downloading it for free.
Pirating it,
because pirating it is just, I don't hate it, and I think that there's like personally legitimate reasons to do so. Exactly. But at some point, you just kind of like you make the money. You make if you make the money to do so, you might as well just pay
the price to have the product.
Yeah.
But I think the nice thing about Steam and like early streaming services was that it was the convenience. It discouraged people who were pirating out of convenience because maybe you live in a place where you don't have access to cable, like standard cable channels, or you if you live somewhere rural,
Right.
and all you have is an internet connection, how often can you go into town to buy a Blu-ray disc or buy a hard copy of a game?
Yeah.
Having something that you can just get on your computer no matter where you are is convenient and easy.
Bayfar and I haven't talked about getting Disney Plus. I think there's a lot of good stuff on there probably, but I don't. There's a lot of. I'm sure there's fun stuff to watch. I just don't. It's the same thing as Epic right now. I had Epic on my computer very briefly.
Yeah.
And I don't hate any of their stuff. I just think that this splitting and this competition right now isn't kind of the competition we're used to seeing. It's divisive, not almost cooperative for the user.
Yeah, exactly. It's not there to make sure that users get the best product.
No.
It's to make sure that individual companies or individual publishers
don't
make
have a
the
monopoly.
most money. And
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, fine, I guess, but again, it's just annoying that there are some right now we have Netflix is doing a lot of anime like Carol and Tuesday, or they're buying the exclusive rights. So I remember it was a big deal way back when they got they produced Devilman. And Devilman was great. Devilman Crybaby, which was a modern adaptation of Devilman, which is a very old classic Japanese series. And they produced it, and we started seeing tons of Netflix original anime.
That's right.
So that was really cool.
Castlevania,
tons of these shows that were they wouldn't get produced or greenlit anywhere else. But then now Netflix is also getting into licensing just standard weekly anime Carol and Tuesday and Beastars and tons of other things. And then it's well, how do you deal with that? And then you also have Crunchyroll, and then there used to be a Netflix, or not a Netflix, Funimation subscription service, and then Hulu also has anime.
Right.
If you want to watch your favorite show,
you're not really, you can't I get why streaming service it's really what do you call it, when things are kind of all mixed together, it's do you want to go for a specialty service, or do you want to go for
a generic everything
umbrella
that encompasses everything?
Convoluted was the word I'm looking for.
Convoluted, yeah.
But again, I think it's only convoluted for the user. The companies
for
themselves,
the companies and stuff, it all makes sense.
It's just money for them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really tough.
Tough. I wonder where it's going to look in the future, where it's going to be similar to cable, where we just have tons of services, and they're like packages, and you just buy your tons of different services like you would a package, and pick and choose what you want to get or what that might look like in the future.
It's not really fun. And the other thing is there's varying quality between all the streaming services.
That is very true, yes.
I used Amazon Prime Video when I had Amazon Prime, and while I didn't hate the specific variety of shows, although I would say that the variety is actually quite low in terms of other shows. It
definitely is.
I also just kind of didn't like their UI, and
the UI is pretty clunky as well.
It's all over the place, and it's very I guess at the end of the day it's subjective, but I don't see a good ending for it right now. And that, if you tell me what it's if you ask what it's gonna look like in the next 10 years, I think it's gonna look like crap.
It's gonna look messy.
Yeah.
Because right now for me, it's okay. I use exactly 3 streaming services. I use Netflix for sort of my more traditional Western media, so your weekly shows, things like Stranger Things, Haunting of Hill House, Black Mirror, that kind of stuff, where it's stuff you would maybe see on TV, but in this case, a lot of it is Netflix originals.
Sure.
Primarily use Crunchyroll for anime, and there's a couple of anime shows on Netflix that I watch, whatever. And then, what's the other one? Do I only use 2? I think I only use those 2.
Maybe you only use 2.
Yeah, I think I only use those 2. And that more or less... Oh, no, because I have Amazon Prime
So you've
Video.
seen Amazon Prime Video.
So I've seen it, but I don't have Amazon Prime for Amazon Prime Video.
Yes.
But I do find that, there's a lot of really niche
They have a
documentary.
weird library.
It's a very niche library.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff really is fun to watch, and I don't think I would see it anywhere else.
Right.
But I also wouldn't get Amazon Prime just for Prime Video.
Yeah. The only good show that I really watched on there was there was a movie. It was a movie series first. It's the one I can't remember the name right now. I like the it's a single word, but it's like when there's 24-hour period when there's no rules.
Oh yeah.
The name escapes me. It sounds really stupid. I kind of want to look it up right now.
Is it Purge?
Purge, yeah, it's Purge.
Yeah.
And there's a Purge series on Amazon. It's actually fairly good.
Interesting.
I've never seen the movies, but I feel like the series, because it has more time to develop sort of the scenario,
characters and the environments and stuff.
So it's a little bit more in depth. That's pretty good. But there's a lot of just stuff that it either doesn't have or it's almost like it has weird bootleg versions of shows that you would see on Netflix. It's strange. It's really strange.
I kind of agree with you because like everything that I've been watching on Prime Video is like there was the Fenty Beauty I've been watching mostly documentaries, but like really weird niche documentaries.
Sure. I think that's the great thing about documentaries though. They can explore that without backlash of anything. Like you wouldn't want to produce like some series based on that concept, but if you do a documentary, you're like, oh, I'm just getting information.
Yeah, exactly. So like I watched like there was a Fenty Beauty documentary about like Rihanna's creation process and leading up to this fashion show, and I was like, cool, this is fun to watch. This is just interesting. There was like a cosplay one that I watched. Mm-hmm. There was an esports one. There's a couple of esports one, but there was one that I watched was like about League of Legends, leading up to World and the big League 10 stuff. And I was like, this is cool. Like this is just cool. But I don't know. You couldn't put this on Netflix or like anywhere else. It wouldn't make any. Like the only other place you could put this is like YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
I really like that last one just because like I probably wouldn't watch it because it's not in my specific wheelhouse of interest, but that's literally a type of genre that you would not have watched 15 years ago.
On TV.
Like, it didn't exist.
Never. It didn't exist.
It didn't exist. I kind of want to get into some of the other games that are coming out. Actually, do you have any other thoughts on, like, Overwatch 2 before we leave?
Not really. I'm excited to see what it looks like. We don't have a release date, so, like, I'm be real. I don't care till you tell me when it's coming out.
Are you going to get it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would say most likely I'm gonna get it. Like, even just to see what it looks like or get the full, because I am at some level somewhat invested and I want to know the story.
You don't want to not like it.
Yeah.
That's a thing too. It's not like you're here actively being like I'll get it, just shit on it, or I'm getting it because I'm obligated. It's like, no, you like it, you just wish it was better now. Yeah. Right.
So it's like I'm hoping, I'm going for it with like the best hopes for the future, but until I get it, it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. A lot of other stuff is coming out really soon, or it's already come out, I guess. I only knew that I only heard that Star Wars was coming out on the release day.
Yeah, me too.
It came out on the 15th.
I had no idea until it came out, and I was
like,
a bunch of people, because I have I hang out with, of course, other streamers, so some of them were sponsored to stream it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
you didn't know if it was like you didn't know if it was like they got a
I thought it
review
was like,
copy sort of thing,
or if it was like I legit thought that it was like, oh, these are sponsored, so they get early access. But I was like, no, the game is out. I can go buy it right now. And I was like, oh, I had no idea.
I didn't look into it. So this is what happened to me on the 15th.
Yeah.
I was talking to Rob about this, and he was like, oh, like these are the kind of games I'm looking at right now, and these are what I'm playing. And he's like, I'll probably get Star Wars. I'm like, oh, Star Wars. And I didn't say anything, but I just Wikipedia'd it, or I went to Google. I was like, I intended to go to Wikipedia just to see what the release dates were going to be like.
Yeah.
And if I could, I didn't know very much about the Star Wars game because I wasn't trying to follow it,
right, because you had no idea.
Yeah, I clearly just, I wouldn't even say I dropped the ball. I literally wasn't trying to follow it. So I Google it, and it's like, oh, it came out today. First of all.
You're like, oh.
What's the plot? I'd like to know a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to watch a trailer at the time. So I clicked the Wikipedia article. There's an entire plot summary. And I was just like, oh, that's like the whole thing. I didn't read it. I read like a teensy bit. Like
you read a little bit, and then you were like, oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah,
this
but
is the whole thing.
The headline for reviews were just like, it's okay. Like it's kind of bland in a sense, but it gives Poly fans what they want. They're not trying to extend too much, and I think they're trying to avoid that whole like there's going to be microtransactions. I think. Yeah,
that was a big issue for them in the past.
Yeah.
So I think they've learned the lesson there.
Yeah.
It does look good. So from the gameplay footage I've seen, it does look very
I have not seen
pretty.
any gameplay footage.
From a graphical perspective, it looks very pretty. From a gameplay perspective, it seems pretty clean and seamless, and it very much looks and plays like your traditional action game, but like it's cleaned up
in the universe that it's in.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll get it.
I don't think I'll get it either.
I don't have a drive.
Yeah,
to want to get it.
I will admit I'm not a big Star Wars person.
Mm-hmm.
I have a passing interest in it in the sense that
you've seen the movies. I've
seen the movies. When I have friends who are very interested in Star Wars and want to talk about it, happy to listen. I'm happy to listen to them because it's fun to listen to your friends talk about things they're passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have no personal investment in Star Wars.
Yeah, like I've talked about this several times. The only thing that's interesting to me about Star Wars is how creative that universe can be.
Yes. I agree.
I've always talked about how much I like the ship designs. I like the aliens, generally speaking.
Yeah, I like how they there's tons of work put into the universe, and there's lots of world building, and that's really cool. It's a very cool space fantasy series, and that's why it's just so beloved. But
as the actual universe content itself, or the main storyline for one thing, I'm sure, whatever. I'll watch the movies.
I'll watch the movies. I'll enjoy it.
Yeah. I sort of hope that it's good because I did play Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
When a long time ago, and it's still fun. It's still a good game. So you'd want good products based off that universe. I also know I didn't play Battlegrounds or any of the other. Wait, is it called Battlegrounds?
No, I think you're thinking of a different game. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, Battlefront. Yeah, that's what it is. And it clearly fell on its face a little bit. I think it picked up a little bit after, as games do when they fall on their face. No Man's Sky fell on their face so hard. But now it's fairly respectable. I think that it's important to always have good media still surrounding it.
Yeah.
For that universe, but I don't know. At the end of the day, personal interest level is fairly low. I don't see.
Totally fair and very same for me. It's kind of meh. Not super invested in it, but I hope it's good for the people who are. It's
kind of how I feel about Death Stranding. I finally got around to watching more some gameplay of it because I mentioned I kind of really haven't followed it too much, mainly because I don't own a PS4. That's a big thing.
I have actually, from seeing some of the gameplay footage and seeing getting a general synopsis of what the story is, so I know what the entire plot is, and that's because I'm not going to spoil it, but I personally. For some things, for some games, I get into the game because of the gameplay.
Sure.
For other games, I get into the game because of the story.
Yeah, the universe.
Yeah. And stuff. Yeah. In the case of Death Stranding...
It's neither.
I knew it was not going to be gameplay in the sense of, it's not going to be an action game.
No.
A lot of people have compared it to Walking Simulator, and yes, but also no.
Like I said, I have not looked into the plot extensively. I've just watched some playthrough of it.
Yeah.
What I have gathered is that America got fucked in some weird way. I think it's America.
Yes.
They got fucked in some weird way. And then a man who suspiciously only looks like Norman Reedus and nobody else. I know that this was a thing a while back too, but Norman Reedus is there. He drinks Monster energy drinks. And delivers packages so he can help rebuild the world, and I think that's that's a
good summary.
That's the loop, and there's some, I wouldn't call it supernatural necessarily, but there's
a supernatural-ish.
Yeah, there's some elements of supernatural behavior in it. I don't really know how to describe it otherwise, but it's very
yeah.
It's definitely a Hideo Kojima game.
It's definitely a Hideo Kojima game, and it seems like it's better than a lot of people were not super happy with the outcome of the last Metal Gear Solid game.
Right.
I feel like this is above that.
I'm sure that so when I watched, I would say that when I'm watching stuff, by the way, I'm not watching it intently like a movie.
Yeah, it's background noise.
It's background noise, but I'm still following it. I kind of understand what's happening. If I watched it intently, I would not be able to. If you asked me to play it, I would probably try to play it, and there's aspects of the game that I like because I don't mind some sort of tedium. I don't mind some sort of
repetitive
loop,
tasks
right?
and things like that. Yeah.
Action loop or whatever in the game, but I don't think that it would hold me for too long.
That's
But it
fair.
does look really nice, and there are some details in it that are hopefully very transferable into other games. I think there's real potential there.
So from seeing some of the gameplay and reading the story, I went from I'm not really interested in this game to I'm gonna get this game and play it for myself.
At some point.
Probably soon, like within the next week.
Yeah.
I think I like the concept, like the way you describe the story and the plot is pretty accurate. Post-apocalyptic,
which is almost like terrible. Like I wish that though wasn't necessarily the case.
I mean, so it goes into more depth than you've described.
Oh, I'm sure.
But at a basic level,
I think I described the main loop.
Post-apocalyptic America. You play delivery guy who is delivering things, everything from
help rebuild the world,
help rebuild America.
Because I saw they build roads, and there's like sort of not multiplayer, but there's sort of a cooperative
interaction where the bases and structures that you build appear in other people's
via
games.
Networking, just like passive networking.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And that stuff to me is like kind of interesting. It looks really cool. It's a very high production value game, and it does show visually when you look at the game.
Too. Yeah.
And for me, that's kind of from just been spending so much time playing competitive games in the past 3 years or so.
Sure.
It's kind of nice to have something on the complete opposite spectrum.
I can. What it comes down to for me is that I think it's either going to be Game of the Year or not. Like, it's a love or hate game.
Yeah, I think so too.
That it has a lot of qualities that are positive. I don't think it's inherently negative either. I want to say that.
Yeah.
I just believe that if you want to talk about being engaged, and again, not knowing the whole plot.
Yeah.
If I can't get engaged in the plot, there's nothing I really want to do in there, because
fair enough.
It seems like a very simple, like, collect, rebuild. Like, it's a resource gathering game.
It's a resource gathering, management.
The enemy types that I've seen are very generic and kind of like, not generic is the right word, but it's
very
single.
standard.
Yeah, well, it's like a single plane. Like it's I don't see a lot of deviation in it.
Yeah.
So I don't see any creativity in sort of how I would handle
adversity.
Encounters. Yeah, that sort of adversity. The adversity comes from like environmental adversity.
Stuff. Yeah.
And again, that's the detail. That's the devil in details. Is like that's where it might be interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's really
going to be
gripping.
interesting for you.
I think I would
totally fair.
I could probably play a solid like 5 hours of it, but then I think at some point I would be like, all right,
I'm not interested.
Where
in
are we
anymore.
going with this? Yeah. So I don't know. But again, I don't have to worry about too much because I don't have PS4.
Yeah, I do. So and I've been meaning to get
back into it.
Games for. I only have one game for it.
Final Fantasy
15. This is the only game I've played for PS4, and I'm like, did I really buy one console?
No, because you bought it. You bought it in anticipation of Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, that's true. I can't wait for March. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Oh, I have a lot of games coming up before then.
I'm so excited.
I will. What I want to do sort of is like if I can come over and watch.
Yes.
I might do that. Like I don't know if I have a lot of
absolutely
incentive to really. Again, first of all, I'm not gonna get the console or anything. Probably.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just don't know if I have a lot of incentive to really want to watch it too much. But if it delivers, it delivers. I really just want to see how like friends that are really gonna be into it, big fans, see how they.
I went originally when they had announced it. I was very, very excited, and then the hype kind of dropped off because there was a long time between the initial announcement,
for sure,
and then updates.
And I was saying shit like it's gonna be vaporware. Like, and I'm like, it's probably not true, but like it was just like such not a long development cycle necessarily, just the idea.
Delay between
news. There was no news.
It was just like you're gonna get this thing, and then radio silence for like 2 years. And
so I was just like,
is it real?
Yeah.
What happened?
And I still don't know if it's gonna be any good, but it looks all right.
So
for sure.
So I went from like, oh my god, I'm so excited to now I'm kind of cynical and scared. Because, like...
I've been hurt before.
Like, well, for one thing, it's like, one, is this game going to come out? Two,
right.
Square Enix has done some interesting things with Final Fantasy VII as a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I think like if you look at Final Fantasy VII, the original game, in a vacuum, by itself, it is one of the greatest JRPGs of all time. It's a classic. It's very special.
Sure.
It has its own special charm and appeal for all its imperfections and the things that it does extremely well.
It's written its place in gaming history.
Yeah, it's written its place and it's very special.
Yeah.
And then it has they have what's called the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, which is all the spin-off shit.
Yeah,
and
very non-memorable.
Some of the spin-off shit is great, and if you're a fan of the original game,
which one is great?
Like Before Crisis is great. Like you just get to explore the history of the world, and you get to see it from the perspective of the bad guy.
Question: is Advent Children in the good part or in the bad part?
It's closer towards the bad part.
You think so?
It's okay,
but it was so much hype when it first came out.
It's so much hype, and then they re-released it, and I bought the re-released it. They did. They re-released it in 2017. Fairly recently, for Blu-ray, and they added additional scenes, and they redid some of the animation. And it was great. It was very beautiful.
Okay.
From a story perspective, that thing is a mess, and I do hate it. From a story perspective, if you take away the rest of the compilation, and you look at the original game, and then you look at Advent Children as the direct sequel, you would be like, huh? Yeah. Like, what?
For sure. I can feel that. I'm not going to rewatch it to verify, but...
you really would be like, excuse me, what?
What was the point of the re-release?
It was to tie into... So, for the 10th anniversary, they released Crisis Core, which was the PSP game.
Sure.
And so, a couple years after that came out, they re-released Advent Children to tie back into that with additional scenes.
All right.
So, basically what they've done is that all of the side material is additional... side story,
right?
But some of it is problematic in that it kind of does, like, remember, you know how people complain about the prequel series and Star Wars and how it kind of makes a mess of the original story,
right?
The compilation of Final Fantasy VII kind of does that a little bit, where it kind of makes a mess of itself.
It's okay.
It's
just not clean.
It kind of tries to go too hard and vomits down its front a little bit, and then cleans itself up and tries to keep going. You know, it's a nervous little child, and you're kind of watching it like, I love you, but please don't shit your pants. You know?
All right.
So, you know, there was a lot of this nervousness going into the Final Fantasy VII Remake, in that they've been very clear that we're going to stay true to the original game, but we're also going to tie back in.
It's going to be a new game.
You know, it's going to be a new game. It's going to be its own. We're bringing in new content. It's going to tie
into
some
thing
of the other stuff.
It's not just for, like, yourself, who's, like, an original sort of Final
Fantasy.
It's
also for people who are new to the
like,
series.
if you're 14 years old right now and you've never played Final Fantasy VII for
this
lots of reasons,
this is going to be your first time.
Yeah, so it might be a good thing.
It might be a good thing.
But I think at the end of the day, it'll... Like, even if it really falls down and eats a lot of butt, You'll still have the original.
I still have the original. It'll always be there.
And the original is like a standalone thing.
Yeah, I can take.
You don't need all the other. At the end of the
day, I still have my PlayStation 2. Yeah. I still have my original PlayStation 1 disc.
And then you can play.
Slap it in.
You can play that while you have like Advent Children in the background, and you're just like crying.
And I'm just like looking at the two side to side, like, what happened here?
Yeah.
What happened here?
You're clearly just not a hardcore enough fan.
Yeah.
And you can't.
I just can't understand it. No. But you know what? I think, like, at the end of the day, even though the less good material in the compilation, I still enjoyed.
That's good.
Even if some of it really did throw up on the floor and eat it.
Happens. It just happens.
You know, I still enjoyed watching the train wreck.
That's funny.
And that's what matters.
Yeah. That's what makes you a true fan. All right. We are pretty much at the end of our show. But thank you for coming on. That was pretty fun. Again, you can get your Koyo tickets for January. What am I saying? For November 30th, and you can also buy your Otafest passes for $50.
Early bird before January 1st, 2020.
Save some money. Bring your friends. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
It's DEO. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Jay, bye.